All right, Trumpers, come and get me. Chaos is at its finest with Donald Trump. He's on Air Force One. He can't answer the questions about this war. He can't answer why he was leaving the G7. He can't answer any questions. He's constantly deflecting. This is an administration that has run this country in the ground, and it's so important for people to know that, because this is what affects our lives. This affects our groceries, our gas, our employment, our taxes, our banking, the investments. This man controls way too much to not know anything. I don't think he wipes his own ass. I don't even think he knows how to do that. And we have to get that message out there that this guy will destroy this planet in 4 years if we don't get a handle on it. And it's going to continue to get bad. And this man is the guy that y'all are going to trust, the MAGAs, to put their finger on the nuclear button. I can't with this. It makes no sense that you would trust a man that is a crooked, slummy businessman to make those decisions. It shows your incompetency.
Well, for all you Trump supporters out there, I wonder if you're still happy with your vote. Right now we have ICE agents arresting candidates for mayor in New York City. We have Russia dropping cluster bombs on Ukraine in the middle of the night while the whole entire world is distracted with this whole Israel-Iran stuff. We have Donald Trump, who is now saying that he doesn't give a shit what Tulsi Gabbard says, because Tulsi Gabbard said that Iran is not even close to creating a nuclear weapon, but Trump thinks that we are. And so it is looking more and more like by tomorrow morning, the United States will be bombing Iran. Trump seems to have his finger right on the button, and he's just fucking itching to pull it. Are you still happy with your vote? I thought your great alleged president was the president of peace, no new wars. Isn't that what everybody kept telling us? And none of these wars would have started if he was president. But here we are. Israel bombing the shit out of Iran, Iran bombing the shit out of Israel, and now we are on the cusp of the United States getting involved. So MAGA, is this what you wanted? Is this what you support? Are you still happy with your goddamn vote? Are you still happy with Trump getting ready to launch strikes against Iran and to send more American troops overseas to the Middle East? I hope this is what you voted for, and I hope you're having the day that you deserve. Like, share, follow for more. This is Grim with Get the Rant, and I'll see you all in the next video.
All right, welcome back again to the African Streamline. I really welcome you. Thank you for always being here, and thank you for choosing this channel, for making it your stop over every time and every moment. I really do appreciate. You are my people, and I love you so much wherever you are and in whatever the things that you're doing. Okay, all right. Now, if white Americans would have a chance, or they can be given an opportunity to turn things around, or rather to go to the ballot again, they would never make a mistake like the one they made some time back. I think they would take that opportunity to turn things around and do things in a different way, in a way that would help them. All right? Now, we've seen them actually facing the music after they did something that the black people told them, you know, what you're about to do is a very big mistake. You need to really think twice. You know, when the deal is too good, you have to think twice. The man comes, speaks very well, and promises them a lot of things, tells them what he's gonna do, like everything that he's gonna do for them. And then the people feeling like, you know, he's a person of our color, the person that looks like us. He has promised to take care of us. And remember, this beef that, or the enmity that a white person created between a black person and a white poor person still exists. You know, when you listen to Tim Wise, you're going to see him saying that some time back there wasn't this the black, white color and all that. The color thing started with the white rich Americans, yeah, because they feared the prosperity of the black people. Black people were prospering in a certain way. They were coming up in a certain way. So blacks were taking over. They were becoming stronger in terms of everything, in terms of inventions, in terms of businesses, like everything. Black people were really growing up to become very, very, very massive people. And the white rich Americans felt like, if we don't act with haste, these people are going to become very strong people, and they're going to become, I think, a very powerful people. We cannot be able to actually, like, we will get to a point when we can't even stop them. And therefore, they felt like we need to act with haste. Okay? So the rich white Americans called upon the poor white Americans. They faced them. They told them, you know what? The enemies we have are the black people. Okay? And because it is very easy for you to manipulate a poor person or somebody who is in need, poor white Americans were easily manipulated, okay, by the rich white Americans. You see, somebody who is poor, I've been telling you this, I'm going to tell you again. When somebody needs something, when somebody is poor, or when somebody doesn't have something, always and normally these people are very much desperate. They're willing to do anything to make sure they're actually getting, or rather they're actually receiving what they want. They're willing to go to any extent for them to get whatever the things they want. So they knew, if we're going to approach these people, it's going to be easy for us to be able to manipulate them. And that is what happened. And so the poor white Americans begin hating on the black people, and it becomes enmity. The enmity has been there for a very long time. Okay? So Trump coming and saying, I'm going to deport or to do the deportation because I want to make America great again. White Americans thinking that by making America great again is by allowing the white Americans only remain in America. And they looked at America as a country that only has the white people alone, no black people in the picture. And they felt like, if we get to this point, really, I tell you, this country is going to be a very, very super country. They forgot the fact that power belongs to the black people. Everything that has been happening in America, in the United States, the building, like the growth, the strength that the United States has right now, it's because of the black people. Many people would never want at some point to admit the fact that black people built America, or rather black people have made America look the way it's looking like, until you now remove the black people in the picture. Okay? Deportation started. Some people are deported back to their countries, and you see America began suffering instantly. At the instant of the black people being deported back to their countries or where they're coming from, America began suffering, because now America was running out of labor, and that is what was happening. Okay? So, because they felt like blacks are our enemies, and their old man is coming and telling them, I'm gonna send these people back to their countries and deport them back to their country, they felt like this man is a real deal. Black people came upon, they told them, what you're about to do, man, it is very dangerous. They thought like they were voting to punish the black people. They were not voting. They didn't focus on many things or looked at many things. They were voting to punish. And what happened in return, it is something very, 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 very bad. Right now, things aren't good, and they feel like they wouldn't have voted against the black people. They wouldn't have voted to punish the black people, because after they made the decisions, the repercussions came. Okay? Everything you do has results. Now, the results came, it began hitting them very massively. They were being heated very massively. And right now, white Americans wish they would have done better. If they get an opportunity today to change things, or if they get an opportunity to go back to the ballot, I'm sure they would never want to make the mistakes they made. I want you to take a look at these videos. I'm going to come back and have some things to say at the end of it. But before that, I'm going to ask you to subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss out on every tremendous thing and everything that is happening in Alt in the Word segment. Okay, be the first person to get everything and every episode that we are dropping every time and every moment. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming. Thank you for always choosing this channel. I really love you so much in whatever the things that you're doing. Now, as you're watching these videos, prepare your thoughts, have them shared with me in the comment section. I'll do my best to make sure I read all of them and give a response where possible. But before then, let's take a look at these videos.
So I went to the No Kings protest in the small town that I live in central Texas. And this is a deep red town of about 20,000 people. It has a history as a probable sundown town. And I say probable because there were no laws on the books, but there are enough stories. And I would say even today, there are some issues with racism. My daughter has reported a teacher for racism, and in my own neighborhood, within the community page on the Book of Faces, there was a time when someone posted a photo of a Black woman just walking and told everyone that there was a suspicious person casing houses. And I had to jump in and respond that that woman was actually my neighbor, and she walks the neighborhood every day. There's nothing suspicious about her. She literally lives next door to me. But just to set the stage as far as what kind of town this is, I was expecting that there would maybe be 20 or 30 people. There were over 500 that showed up. And I think that that's a really positive sign. And we did get a lot of honks and thumbs up. I think there are a lot of closeted people who are opposed to the administration. I know that people are afraid to speak out here because of the level of aggressive response and the potential for violence. I have never been flipped off so much in my life as I was at this protest, which is fine. It's fine. But people get very, very hostile. And I'll show you the sign that I held. I wanted to call out the MAGA Christians because this town sees itself as very traditional, evangelical Christian. To me, it screams hypocrisy. Anyway, 500 I know is a tiny percentage in a town of 20,000. But given that this is a blood red town, deeply enmeshed in the cult, I would say that 500 is actually a pretty decent turnout.
I just need to double down on something I said last night, which is when something awful and horrific happens on American soil, this entire regime, Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, the entire cabinet, Peter Thiel, Stephen Miller, the Heritage Foundation, and every Republican in Congress who is currently in the majority and has the power to impeach Donald Trump yesterday, is going to have blood on their hands. Think about the reality of our situation. It is currently 1:20 p.m. Eastern Time as I'm making this video, and an hour ago, Donald Trump, our president, the person who is supposed to be the leader of the free world, and his regime, because we know he doesn't write all of this himself, said, "We know exactly where the so-called, quote, supreme leader is hiding. He is an easy target, but is safe there. We are not going to take him out, kill, at least not for now. But we don't want missiles shot at civilians or American soldiers. Our patience is wearing thin. Thank you for your attention to this matter." I think we have this warped sense of what all of the Middle East is. I think because so many of us experienced 9/11 and saw so much footage of literal like caves in the desert with men wearing turbans and carrying around pew-pews, like we don't understand. Iran is a developed nation. There are people living there just like you and I who live lives just like you and I. And just like you and I, they don't want this, just like we don't want this. This country is not some stereotype, some fear-mongering story that has been told to us for decades now. And if you think that the United States, the soil that we stand on, is untouchable by people living in the Middle East who wish to do us harm, then you're living in a la-la land. Things like this do not just ignite the flames overseas. They don't just put civilians in the Middle East at risk, and they don't just put our men and women in uniform at risk. This, unfortunately, is yet again unprecedented. We have our nation's leader, or whoever is writing for him on Truth Social, publicly taunting another leader who has nuclear weapons on a social media platform. Where's all the Jill Stein voters now? Where's all of the Republicans who were all about the price of eggs? We have our lives on the line here, guys. This is not a joke. It's not funny. And I don't know how to even end this video, so I'll just end it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
So wait, now ICE is going to be targeting migrants who are here illegally working on farms and in restaurants and in hotels?
Homeland Security is saying that ICE is going to start enforcing in hotels and farms again. Is that a change of course from last week?
We're going to look everywhere, but I think the biggest problem is the inner cities. We're looking everywhere. There are far more in the inner cities, Democrat-run cities, sadly, and I'm just giving you, there's far more in there than you have on a farm or someplace.
So no one's getting exemptions anymore. Everyone is.
Well, everyone's being looked at.
That was the president this morning on Air Force One. Now, this is a complete shift in tone towards migrants who are here illegally working on farms and in the leisure and hospitality industry. Last Thursday, less than a week ago, I reported in this video that the president said this.
Our farmers are being hurt badly by, they have very good workers. They've worked for them for 20 years. They're not citizens, but they've turned out to be, great. And we're going to have to do something about that. We can't take farmers and take all their people and send them back because they don't have maybe what they're supposed to have, maybe not. You go into a farm and you look and people they've been there for 20, 25 years and they've worked great and the owner of the farm loves them and everything else, and then you're supposed to throw them out, and you know what happens? They end up hiring the people, the criminals that have come in, the murderers from prisons and everything else. So we're going to have an order on that pretty soon, I think. We can't do that to our farmers, and leisure too, hotels. We're going to have to use a lot of common sense on that.
After that statement, Homeland Security sent guidance to immigration agents fanned out across the country, directing them to hold off on worksite enforcement investigations and operations on farms and in restaurants and at hotels. But yesterday, immigration enforcement reportedly got a new directive. Homeland Security changed the guidance again and now says ICE has the green light to go back into work sites on farms, into hotels and restaurants to target any migrant who is here illegally. And that change was confirmed when the president today said, we're going to look everywhere. He did not take that same strong stance he did last week. There is definitely a difference now. Now, according to his comments today on Air Force One and in a lengthy post he put on his social media page, while the president may be changing his mind about immigration enforcement on farms and in the leisure and hospitality industry, he's also stepping up his ICE raids with a specific focus on Democratic-led states. He said that he has directed ICE to expand efforts to detain and deport illegal aliens in America's largest cities, such as Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York. And the fact is, if the big beautiful bill is passed, we are only going to see more of these raids, bigger raids in more cities across the country. Why? Well, as I've been reporting, the federal government does not have the funds to really expand these ICE raids and deportation efforts on the level that President Trump wants. But now, the big beautiful bill, if it's passed, would absolutely change that. That's because late last week, Senate Republicans in both the Judiciary and Homeland Security committees released their sections of the big beautiful bill. Between the two, they have added about $80 billion of new money to conduct more ICE raids in more cities, to get more equipment, to hire more officers, to build new detention facilities, to expand the border wall, and to secure biometric entry and exit systems at ports of entry. And that $80 billion is specifically marked for immigration enforcement, for ICE, Border Patrol, and the Department of Justice. And that money is on top of their normal budgets. So how would this money be spent? Well, I can't go through everything, but according to the text released from both of the committees, Some of the biggest funding allocations are $30 billion for ICE to hire and train new personnel specifically to carry out immigration enforcement activities, performance, signing and retention bonuses, and transportation costs to deport migrants from the country. $22.5 billion for ICE to expand detention capacity for individual migrants and migrant families. $6.5 billion for Customs and Border Protection for the construction or improvement of the border wall system. $3.5 billion for the Department of Justice to award grants to states and local governments to locate and apprehend migrants who are in the country illegally or who have committed crimes. More than $3 billion for the Department of Justice to hire more immigration judges and staff, investigate and prosecute immigration-related crimes, and hire more lawyers to prosecute more migrants. And then there is that $288 million in the bill for what's being called biometric entry and exit systems at ports of entry. But the bill also prohibits the use of these funds to surveil U.S. citizens and prohibits the creation of any kind of biometric database that includes U.S. citizens. So if you want to see what else this money is going to be used for and how they've allocated it, I'm going to email the documents from the Senate Judiciary and Homeland Security Committees out to you tonight in my Facts HQ email, so make sure you sign yourself up.
It's 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and 3 hours ago, Trump posted unconditional surrender, all in caps, for Iran. I imagine that's who this is directed at. And he's did another post saying they had total, or we had total control of the skies, meaning Israel and the United States. I guess we're just totally in this now. And he threatened the supreme leader, Ayatollah, of Iran. He said they know where he's at, but he's safe for now. They're not going to take him out, kill him, and he's safe. But his patience is wearing thin, and that Iran needs to stop targeting civilians. So, I mean, this is just spiraling out of control. And probably the worst and most scary part about it is Trump's post of this text he got from Mike Huckabee, who is his envoy to the Middle East. And this just scared the shit out of me. Mike Huckabee's text reads, "Mr. President, God spared you in Butler, PA, to be the most consequential president in a century, maybe ever. The decisions on your shoulders I would not want to be made by anyone else. You have many voices speaking to you, sir, but there is only one voice that matters. His voice," referring to the Almighty God. "I believe you will hear from heaven, and that voice is far more important than mine or anyone else's." What this suggests is that Trump's decision whether to strike Iran's nuclear facility or not, or whether or not to take out the supreme leader of Iran, rests with a voice from heaven that's going to come into Trump's head. We're so cooked. Let me know what you guys think about this. Comment, like, share, spread the word. Maybe if he hears enough voices from the American people about this, from his supporters that don't want another war, maybe that voice will be more powerful than the one that will magically come into his head from God. No offense to anyone religious, but if God is sending messages to you saying you should drop bombs and kill people, you might want to question your religion.
Hello everyone, I know it's early, but there's a lot here, so it's that time again where I read you True Social so you don't have to. It's a service I provide for free, but if you want to hit all the buttons over here, that'd be great. 59 minutes ago, Donald Trump truthed out, "Unconditional surrender!" I don't know who he's talking to, but it's weird, right? That we have so many wars going on right now. I have no fucking idea which person he wants to surrender. I thought he was supposed to be not a warmonger. Right. That's what the MAGA keeps saying. It's too bad that now they're moving the goalposts and saying, well, he's not a warmonger, but he is a warmonger if it's called for. It's good that he knows how to make you think that it's called for. An hour ago, he truthed out, "We know exactly where the so-called supreme leader is hiding. He's an easy target, but is safe there." Huh? "We are not going to take him out. Kill. At least not for now. But we don't want missiles shot at civilians or American soldiers. Our patience is wearing thin. Thank you for your attention to this matter." Why is he speaking in the royal we? He is not a king. So you know where the supreme leader is, but you're not going to attack him. and he's safe there. What? Okay, that's fine. Let's just keep going. All right, another post an hour ago. We now have complete and total control of the skies over Iran. Iran had good sky trackers and other defensive equipment, and plenty of it, but it doesn't compare to American-made, conceived, and manufactured stuff, in quotes. Nobody does it better than the good old USA. Nobody blows shit up and kills people like us. Something to aspire to for the whole planet. 2 hours ago, he tweets out a story. FBI gives Congress intel on alleged Chinese plot to create fake mail-in ballots in 2020. It's got Kash Patel featured prominently. Here's one of him quoting Tom Homan. I really truly believe that President Trump is doing the right thing for the American people. The big, beautiful bill. We need the Senate to get off their butts and pass the bill. More money means we can do more. We can arrest more public safety threats. We can arrest more national security threats. So Congress needs to pass the bill and give ICE and Border Patrol the tools and resources they need to get this job done. Here's the thing. I need you guys to go back in your minds to just earlier this year. Okay? Just earlier this year. Is your life comfortable for the most part? Has anybody robbed you, tried to kidnap you, abuse you, take over your house, destroy your city, etc.? Have you noticed in the last couple of years that this has become a hellscape? If you said no, then congratulations, you're still connected to reality. We don't require this kind of activity. There has been absolutely nothing happening in our country that would necessitate this kind of violent response. If we had noticed as a collective a significant change in the temperament of our country, and let's take from this MAGA, right? Like if we had noticed a significant change in the temperament of our country, don't you think we'd respond to it? If we saw an invasion of criminals that came in and actually were doing criminal things invasively, like for example, a street gang moving in and taking over a town, we would notice and we would respond. But see, we didn't notice that. We noticed nothing bad before they started doing this, so we don't actually require them to do it. What I'm trying to tell you is the only significant change in the temperament, feeling, vibe of this country, the only significant change that has had a negative effect on it in the last 20 years has been the advent of MAGA. MAGA's the thing that made this country uncomfortable. Prior to them, we were all fine. We were fine. This massive invasion they're talking about has been going on for 30, 40 years. Have you noticed any significant increase in crime in your area due to migrants? No, because it doesn't happen. They are just trying to create reasons and resculpt your memory so that you think that there was a problem. There was never a problem. Another post of Tom Homan. When they double down, we triple down. So the men and women of ICE are going to keep standing up. They're going to keep doing the job. Just following orders. We're going to move on. He's got more posts here of other people saying things because he's doing an appeal to legitimacy. It's a fallacy. He's got more posts from other people. More posts from other people. Because he can't intellectually come up with his own content to justify his actions. Also, he's got to mention he's not the one running his social media accounts. I have not reached out to Iran for peace talks in any way, shape, or form. That was posted 8 hours ago. So, look at the time. It is, as of right now, 10:30. So he posted that at 2:30 in the morning. At 2:30 in the morning, when the president is supposed to be asleep because he has to wake up at 6 a.m. I have not reached out to Iran for peace talks in any way, shape, or form. So he's not trying to stop a war. This is just more highly fabricated fake news. If they want to talk, they know how to reach me. They should have taken the deal that was on the table. Would have saved a lot of lives. You know what would have saved a lot of lives? If we hadn't backed Israel's genocide in Gaza. And yet, look here, we're now tearing down the person that's trying to defend Gaza. That's not their only motive. but they're at least ostensibly trying to defend Gaza and say that that is their reason. And he doesn't care about that. Do you see the genociding? Yeah, they do it everywhere they go. Publicity-seeking President Emmanuel Macron of France mistakenly said that I left the G7 summit in Canada to go back to D.C. to work on a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. Wrong, he declares. He has no idea why I'm now on my way to Washington, but it certainly has nothing to do with a ceasefire. Much bigger than that, whether purposely or not. Emmanuel always gets it wrong. Stay tuned. So comforting. So comforting. 13 hours ago, if I didn't put the National Guard into Los Angeles, the place would be burned down to the ground right now. I did incompetent Governor Gavin Newsom, who doesn't have a clue, the favor of a lifetime, one of the worst governors in history. California would not be burning to the ground if wildfires that took out hundreds of square miles cannot stop us. Then this certainly won't. How many sets of riots has Los Angeles had? How many wildfires have hit the state of California? In the last round of wildfires that took out billions of dollars worth of property in Los Angeles, did that stop us from showing up on Saturday? No. So LA was never burning to the ground, has never burned to the ground, and you are in fact insinuating yourself into a situation to make it worse. In violation of the law and your job as president, in violation of all of the strictures on your job as president, you did this. What I'm trying to tell you is that every time he speaks, he's trying to reconstruct your memory of the past. He's trying to reconstruct your memory. We did not require this action. We were all living just fine. We did not require this. California did not require his intervention. We would have done just fine. He is trying to create in you the memory of a problem that justifies what he's doing now. Do not let him reprogram your brain with bullshit.
Today is Tuesday, June 17th, and for the first time in 4 years, we're closer to entering a war than we have ever been as the United States. Donald Trump and his national security team just finished up about an hour-long meeting where afterwards he talked to Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel about whatever they talked about in that meeting. And we don't know what was talked about until Donald Trump actually gets around to telling us through a social media post or one of his communication secretaries comes out and tells us. But what we know is that it looks like the United States is getting closer to entering the conflict between Israel and Iran on the side of Israel. They said that earlier today, Donald Trump posted that we now have complete and total control of the skies over Iran. Iran has good sky trackers and other defensive equipment, but it doesn't compare to American-made. A few minutes later, he said he knows where Iran's supreme leader is and that he's safe for now, but he's an easy target. And then less than an hour after that, he just wrote unconditional surrender in all caps. So it looks like, depending on how that meeting went, will depend on whether or not we take the military equipment and troops that we're moving into the Middle East and enter a war. Now, I graduated high school right in 2002 timeframe, and I went right in the military. And I spent the next 5 years in the Middle East, and that's not a place that I ever want to see again in that type of scenario. And I don't want American citizens, men, women of any age, going there in a conflict. But it looks like Donald Trump, who ran on no new wars, is going to do just that. Send American citizens into the Middle East to fight against an enemy that is not ours.
Hi guys, excuse this appearance. Just came back from physiotherapy. As you all know, I had a hip replacement in March, and things started to go south with that about a month or so ago, probably a couple months ago. So now I'm doing physiotherapy. Thankfully, it's starting to help, but that's not why I'm here. I just wanted to do a little bit of add-on to my serious rant last night, because I was livid. I was absolutely livid. First off, I said, get him the fuck out of my country. Thank God he left on his own. Although it was a G7 summit and he fucks off back to home country to make out war plans. Whatever. Anyway, I just wanted to add on that he accused Trudeau and Obama of ejecting Putin from the G8. Well, if the man actually knew any history or was even aware of politics in any form, because he obviously is as dumb as a stump, he would know that at that time the Prime Minister was not Justin Trudeau. It was Stephen Harper, who happens to be a Conservative Prime Minister. You know, like, he just shoots shit out of his mouth without even thinking about what he's saying, or knows, even doesn't even know what he's saying. He hasn't got a damn clue. Just spews shit and then deals with it later, or ignores it when somebody corrects him on it, ignores it. So that's anyway, I just wanted to add that in there. Yes, he was Putin was ejected, rightfully so, after what he did to Ukraine by annexing Crimea. But it was not Justin Trudeau. And don't get me wrong, I am not a fan of Justin Trudeau. I was never a fan of Justin Trudeau. But I will defend the man when it comes to this, because he did not have anything to do with that.
Well, folks, I'm sure by now you've heard the news. A Trump supporter impersonating a police officer shot and killed Minnesota Democratic State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark early Saturday morning, after shooting Minnesota Democratic Senator John Hoffman 9 times and shooting Senator Hoffman's wife 8 times. Who was the shooter? A Trump supporter. Say it again, a Trump supporter. Yeah, not a Dem. The Trump-loving shooter had a long list of targets. It looks like he was planning to take out a whole bunch of Dems in support of Trump. Yeah, no doubt the poor souls who got shot didn't see it coming. After all, the guy was dressed as a police officer. We're supposed to trust police officers, right? Except, boy, our perception of men in uniform is questionable at best lately, huh? We knew law enforcement had some pretty bad habits, especially when it comes to policing people of color. But up until just recently, it seemed like they were at least somewhat conscientious about hiding it. But ever since the Ice Ice baby men got the green light to launch a domestic terror campaign, it looks like men in all kinds of uniforms we've been conditioned to trust have stopped trying to look like civil servants at all. Ever since Trump got his hooks in them, it looks like uniformed baby men everywhere are having a contest to see who gets to terrorize the most people. De-escalation is a long-gone concept. Everywhere you look, the authorities are taking out their rage on the public, and seemingly enjoying it. I can't imagine it's policy to fire rubber bullets into a peaceful crowd or trample a citizen with a horse. As far as I know, bad-mouthing a cop is protected speech. It sure doesn't justify an entire troop of cops swarming, handcuffing the bad-mouthers, and telling them to go back to their Dem state. But the swarming troop in the video I saw didn't seem to worry they might be chastised for violating people's First Amendment rights. Cops are 3 times more likely to be Republican than Democrat, so maybe they've been wanting to let their partisan anger out on Dems for a long time, and Trump just flipped the switch. But unfortunately, when you put together the videos of law enforcement breaking the law, and the fact that a Trump supporter used the uniform to assassinate Americans, inevitably, a lot more Americans are going to be afraid of the forces that are paid to keep them safe. And that's not good for any of us. Trump did that. He made us unsafe in the world and unsafe at home. He inspired a mentally ill man to murder innocent people. And if you're still supporting him, you should wonder what he's doing to your psyche. Because the more you defend indefensible behavior, the more you become unsafe to Americans just like him. Yeah. Well, partisan men in uniform, have the day you deserve.
The United States of America and everybody that is in it, they are really suffering economically, politically, socially. They are finding it difficult to move. Like, they are finding it difficult to actually survive, because a country that was once considered the best, of all times, the greatest, is now finding it like it's now meeting and coming across many problems. And the problem is that the decisions people make, they make it out of their selfish gains. And when you do something without thinking of other people, or maybe you're doing it because you want to make other people frustrated, you need to be very careful, because you don't know what might come your way. And that is the same thing that has been happening, that is happening today to the white Americans thinking that we would rather, we wish we would have never made a decision that we made. And after doing all these things, the government doesn't even care about their cries and all that. And these are the same governments and the same people that some other African countries are looking forward to. You see, we need to be learning from these things. As much as it is a problem to some people, and it is a really a lesson to some people, it should also teach us something. Yeah, the countries that are teaching democracy, the countries that are teaching civilization, the countries that are teaching human rights and all that, the same countries don't even understand the spelling of human rights. They don't even understand democracy has got how many letters, because they're not doing exactly what democracy entails. They're not doing exactly what democracy wants them to do. They're not doing exactly what the human rights are actually expecting from them. You see, and if their own people could cry, or their own people will go through this, what they're going through right now, what about other people? These are countries that have failed even to take care of their own people. Yeah, and right now, the white Americans are finding it difficult. They're even getting to a point of asking the black people to help them, because without the black people right now, they can't survive. See, blacks have really suffered, and they've gone through this same kind of problems for a very long time. They understand how to deal with these kind of problems. If they come across, how are you going to deal with them? They understand. They know this is the way to go about this problem, because they've been to this problem for quite some time. They've been actually struggling, and they've been going through difficult times. They've been suffering for a very long time. They understand how to live better. They understand. They know what do we need for us to be able to live better. They really know. Okay? Now, because they understand, and because they've been to this kind of situation for a very long time, now they feel like these problems that have come right now, or the existing problems in America right now, it is easy for them to deal with these problems. It is easy for them to actually come out of these problems, because they've nurtured, they know the skills of life. They've been taught how to be hard. Their parents taught them, their ancestors, their grandparents taught them, because this is the life they've been living in for a very long time. They were taught how to actually survive in difficult situations, in difficult times and all that. When the white Americans, or when the America thought that it was actually oppressing them, it was making them better people. And that is why I say that, when gold, before it becomes a gold, it must be passed through the fire for refination, for it to become a fine gold. That is who blacks are right now. And whites expecting blacks to cry with them, it's something that will not happen. Okay? So I think the government of the United States of America should just consider taking care of its people, because these are human beings, irrespective of what they did at some point, or irrespective of what their views and perspectives are. They just need to be helped, because they're human beings. When they voted for you, they understood that you guy, my guy, you're there to help people, or you coming to help, because that is what you said. Okay, I would understand if they would say the problem started from the deportation of the black people, but at the end of the day, the black people will no longer come back. Those who were deported, many of them right now, they're leaving. You see, you're voting against somebody. Whites voted against the black people, and you voted because you wanted the black people to be deported back to their countries. And even with or without being deported, the black Americans were really going back to their countries by themselves, on themselves. And this one doesn't even affect them a little bit, because they were already going back home by themselves, for themselves. Okay? So you need to notice that. You never noticed that. So you thinking you were helping them, you just now realizing there was you thinking you're frustrating them, you are now realizing you were not frustrating them. Okay? So things have happened, and there is a very difficult time there. I don't know who's going to help them, because they didn't take time to think twice when the deal was very much pretty good, and right now something has just bounced back. They're feeling like they could just vanish and get out of these problems that happen. But when you bring problem to yourself by yourself, you have to deal with it. That is what happened. So the whites have to deal with their own problems and sort and solve their own problems. That is the only thing they should do right now. Yeah, though things are difficult, they need to understand one thing. Black people are chosen people, and black people suffering, they've suffered for years. Suffering is no longer a problem to them. It is a way of life right now. Yeah, they are used to be like oppressed and all that, and right now there is nothing that can ever come and stop them. Okay, so I think next time, or when a time like this appears, they should do better. Don't do something because you want somebody else to feel bad, or you want to destroy somebody else or something like that. Just do something in a better way. Yeah, because you want to do it, not because you want to make other people feel bad. God will not be happy with you. Tell me what you think in the comment section. I'm going to do my best to make sure I read all the comments and give a response where possible. I am the African Streamline. Thanks for coming. Thanks for always being here. Thanks for always checking out on me every other time and every moment. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you to subscribe this channel. If maybe you're watching for the first time, I'll be the first person to get every news that's come in. Don't forget to join the membership. Let's see what we can share together, what we can do, or how we can do it. Okay, I really do appreciate, and I will really love it. So welcome back again to this channel for more episodes, and thanks for coming. Until next episode, peace be with you.